What's up, Leafs fans, and welcome back to Leafs Digest. We're live breaking down game number 81 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season, defeating the Tampa Bay Lightning here tonight. An exciting one. 4-2-3, moving to 49, 21, and 11 on the season. We get to see Matthew Knies in not only his second game, but he moves up and plays in the top six here, thanks to Matthews and Marner being announced out an hour before game time. He gets his first point as a Maple Leaf. Luke Schenn scores his first goal with this team since 2012. Joseph Woll goes in there and has a historic performance for Maple Leafs rookie goaltenders. 44 saves tonight is the most saves by a Leafs rookie goaltender since 1990. Just a tremendous performance from him. And we see a Tampa Bay team that looks frustrated and pissed off with the way that the Leafs handled them here tonight, especially considering Matthews, Marner, and Giordano all sat out. The Leafs went 11-6 and played their 8th defenseman on the wing against Tampa Bay. I mean, look, personally, I came into this one and I sat here and thought, you know what, this is one of those ones. Either way, I don't think this is too much of a measuring stick for how things level out for the playoffs. I think it meant, for the Leafs at least, I think it meant more for Tampa to come out here and kind of make a statement and steamroll the Leafs here. Okay, you got your third goalie in. The guy was called up 4 hours before the game, has to go from Toronto to Tampa here, get in here just before game time and have to go in and suit up. You have that whole situation shake out where Kyle Dubas and Gary Bettman are playing chicken. Who's going to break first? Are you going to start Samsonov on a back-to-back? Are you going to go with two amateur tryout goaltenders in the net? How is that going to work out? Then you end up getting allowed Woll to come in here. You have just a ridiculous situation tonight with the entire way that shakes up. You end up with penalty after penalty after penalty in the first period. Luke Schenn fights Pat Maroon. Tampa has a goal called off. Just a crazy night all around. But man, is this an exciting one if you are a Leafs fan. You see all the news today. If you are somebody who bets on the games, you see the way that things swung around as well with the announcement of guys being out and guys being on the ice. And you see the line move way in favor of Tampa Bay ahead of this game. And yet the Maple Leafs find a way to come out on top here against the Tampa Bay Lightning in Tampa Bay. Final game that they play them ahead of the playoffs. So exciting one here for Leafs fans as a group. Exciting one just if you are just a fan of hockey watching this, because this was an intense game, much more intense than we kind of anticipated it to be, a lot closer than we anticipated it to be as well. So some exciting stuff, some cool takeaways here from this game that we will get into throughout the course of this entire show here tonight. And if anybody wants to call in as well, I'm just going to send the link real quick for people to call, but you can call in, give your thoughts on tonight's game. More than happy to hear from people who want to talk about what went on, talk about things moving forward. But I want to remind people before, a few housekeeping notes here before we get fully into the show. Let's start first and foremost. If you are watching right now and you haven't hit subscribe on this channel, honestly, in shows past, I'm asking, hey, please subscribe to the channel. But if you're watching right now and you are not subscribed, I don't know what you could possibly be doing, because now is the time to subscribe. We got one regular season game left, and then we're rolling through into the playoffs. We're going to be doing playoff breakdowns and predictions, how we think the series will go, the lineups we want done ahead of the postseason here. Those will all be coming out on this channel. We'll continue to have these post-game reactions. Another one coming up on Thursday after the Rangers game. And then during the playoffs, we're looking at live watch-alongs, post-game breakdowns, all of that here on this channel. So hit that subscribe button as well. If you're watching, we only got about 25% of the people who are watching right now have hit like on this video. So if you're watching, you haven't hit like, please hit that like button. And then final thing that I got to just remind people of here, I mean, you're talking about goaltenders needing repairs and they need time off. They need a break. You're asking the league questions. You don't know where to go to ask questions about the cap and stuff. Well, the cap can be a confusing situation, whether it's emergency recalls or injuries or whatever it is, but so can buying a car. That can be a confusing experience as well. And the Queensway Automotive Group is here to help you. Head on over to the Queensway Automotive Group. The link pinned to the top of the chat right now. You can head on over there and get yourself a car guy. There is nothing better to have in your life than a car guy. Cars can be something that drain away the wallet over time if you don't know what you're looking for, you don't know what you need help with, or you don't know how to fix what you're dealing with. The Queensway Automotive Group is the group to do it. They can help you with all of your car needs, whether you're looking for a new car, a used car, or help with your current car. They can help you out there over at the Queensway Automotive Group. So go and check out the Queensway Automotive Group. Link in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat here. So make sure to check them out. But let's get into tonight's game. Let's talk about what went on with the Leafs, and we will start here with a super chat from Joe Hill. Thank you, Joe, for the super chat as always. Joe, you're the man, a legend here in the Leafs Digest chat, as we've always discussed. Joe, saying here, I know I said the game didn't matter, but that was a genuine statement game. Wall shutting them down, some gritty goals, 11 penalty kills, and it was just our third and fourth line. I love it. Look, I think that this is a statement game more in terms of the fact that you flipped it on its head and turned right back around against Tampa, who came out here for a statement game of their own, where they came into this one expecting to steamroll you, and you played physical, solid hockey. This was not a circus, high-flying, shootout type of game that was going to go for 10 goals in terms of, oh, everyone's running around and we're going to try to make Tampa keep up with us in goal scoring. That didn't really have that feel. I mean, you look at the overall shots at the end of this one and you kind of sit there and say, okay, yeah, Tampa bombarded Joseph Woll with shots. He had to make 46 saves on 49 shots on goal. But Joe bringing up there, a good point. 11 penalty kills here tonight for this Leafs team. 11 penalty kills that they have to battle through against Tampa, a team that has a pretty good power play. And you come away from this one with Joseph Woll playing a stellar game, shutting things down. I mean, looking even at their penalty kill, the way that they played through the neutral zone, how they stuffed things up. You hold Tampa here. I mean, I guess they had 8 power play opportunities technically. You hold them 0 for 8 on the power play here tonight. Just incredible stuff for this Leafs team in terms of 11 penalty kills, 11 penalty minutes. Should we clarify on that? But 8 penalty kills. Tampa goes 0 for 8. Your penalty kill goes 8 for 8. And just looking at the Leafs play through the neutral zone, how they kind of shored things up. They didn't give too much up in that aspect. I think this was a good playoff game from the Leafs here, and you see response from this team. Looking at every scrum, there was not a guy who was afraid to join into a scrum and be a part of it, mix things up after the fact, stand up for guys. Guys were running into scrums when things happen. It wasn't, oh, I'll coast over there and join if I have to. It was, I'm ready to go. So you see Shen, Brody, McCabe, O'Reilly, these guys, Achari, Aston Reese, these guys would start scrums themselves and say, Tampa, hey, this is a game you want to play? Let's get into it. We'll create these too. And we are going to stick up for our goaltender, stick up for our players, because no one is pushing us around this year. So nice to see from the Leafs team there from that perspective. And I do agree in some instances that this was a bit of a statement game, just in terms of you flipped this on its head right around on Tampa, who came into this one thinking that this was their statement game to run over the Maple Leafs and send a message ahead of the playoffs in the final matchup. And another super chat here, Urban Droid. Thank you, Urban Droid, for the super chat. Very much appreciated. Urban Droid with the massive super chat here saying, does Nyes have a chance of making it into the Leafs playoff game? And if not, maybe with the Marlies. So we will answer the second part first. He is not eligible to play with the Marlies this year because he joins the team after trade deadline and signs that contract. He is not eligible to join the Marlies this year. So clarification on that. Next year, yes, he is. This year, no. For the remainder of the year, even into Marlies playoffs, even if the Leafs get eliminated, whatever, he's not eligible to join the Marlies at all this season. That cannot and will not happen. Now let's flip to the first part. Does Matthew Nyes have a chance of making it into a Leafs playoffs game? I think after what we saw out of him tonight, the answer is yes. I think for me personally, the answer is not just yes, he deserves to make it into a Leafs playoffs game. The answer truly to this one is will he get a chance to make it into a playoff game? I think he deserves to get into a playoff game. This is a big, strong player who's proved that his skating that he was criticized for is not something that is actually going to be of worry here. He can keep up physically. He can keep up speed-wise. And it seems as though he looks much, much, much more comfortable here in this game against Tampa, a team that you are literally playing in the first round. This is a team that you will see in the playoffs come first round, and he can hang. He can play, and he can play playoff hockey. This guy is not afraid of corners. He is not afraid of hitting. He is not afraid of board battles. Not only is he not afraid, he is actually pretty good in them, engaging in those battles, winning puck battles, making smart plays. There are some little nuances to his game that you're going to look at and say, hey, I think he's got to kind of fix this or fix that, and maybe he's be aware of some of the giveaways or things like that, but that being said, I think it would be overly critical to sit here and come and take away from his play or take away from what we saw out of his game that you're going to sit here and be like, oh yeah, he struggles with this. He shouldn't play because of that. Because look around. Kerfoot, Lafferty, Achari, Kampf, Aston Reese, like there are other guys in the bottom six who are making those and sometimes worse. Also looking at a guy like Kerfoot who struggles to score goals, makes those plays and worse sometimes. And I think Matthew Knies brings a little bit better than some of them in certain situations. I think personally he deserves to be in this lineup. And after tonight, this is a statement for me from Matthew Knies that not only does he deserve to be in this lineup, but he deserves to be alongside good players. And I think this helps Sheldon Keefe. It should help Sheldon Keefe a little bit more moving forward. The way that he played alongside Ryan O'Reilly, I think, A, the two of them developed a little bit of chemistry. I think, B, Ryan O'Reilly is a perfect person to have alongside of him as someone to look up to, someone to teach him, someone to help him along there and say, hey, in this situation, I see this. Maybe this is what we're looking at moving forward. Maybe this is the way we have to figure things out and fix things or handle things going forward. I think that's a perfect guy to slot alongside them. And then the final thing to that, if you can fit Knies alongside O'Reilly and you can find a way to separate now Tavares and O'Reilly and put them on separate lines. You're obviously going to go with Matthews and Marner on line one, maybe throw Bunting into there or Yarncroke, whoever they decide. Then the other one of those two goes on the second line with Tavares and Nylander. And then you move down to the third line and you get yourself a third line of Knies, O'Reilly, and Kerfoot, or Knies, O'Reilly, Achari, whatever it is you decide to go with. In all honesty, I think that is an incredibly, incredibly difficult matchup for the other team to have to deal with. So, yeah, like this was a great game from this Leafs team, a great step-up game from them as well. So, I'm happy with what I saw from Knies, and I think he deserves a spot in the playoffs. Like, this was truly a game for Matthew Knies that looked way more comfortable, way more settled in. I saw a lot of positives out of him. Yes, there were the occasional, whoa, wait a minute, what do you do in moments? But there's going to happen. This is a kid playing in his second NHL game, and yet he goes out there, gets his first point, and O'Reilly did not want to take that goal away from him, but I think O'Reilly had to put that puck in the back of the net because it looked like, I mean, honestly, it was going to stop on the line, and if it didn't, then it looked like Tampa was going to have an opportunity to clear it out, whether it's the defenseman that was there or Vasilevsky turning around to make a play on it, so I think O'Reilly had to play it, but Knies gets his first goal with the Maple Leafs, his first point with the Maple Leafs, his first point as an NHL player. So amazing stuff there, and I think he deserves to have a spot. Like, you're going to tell me that Lafferty deserves to be in the lineup ahead of him? I strongly disagree. Strongly disagree. This guy creates opportunities. He created chances. He could fit in offensively. He doesn't look out of place defensively. He looks like he maybe has a little bit of work, a little bit of teaching, but you still got a week and one more game to kind of tighten a little few things up here as you get closer to the playoffs. And then once you get into game one, I think you're fine. And I don't think he trails behind where even a guy like Lafferty is even at this point right now. So, yeah, good stuff there from Matthew Knies tonight. Another super chat here. Maxentius Decimus with the super chat. Thank you, Max, for the super chat. Max saying, Panthers clinched a playoff spot tonight. Yes, indeed. I guess they did. I wasn't following that very closely. I was mostly keeping track of A, the Blackhawks game, or A, the Leafs game, and then B, the Blackhawks game. I wanted to see what they did with Pitt. And shout out our guy in the chat, Empire State Construction. Nice job, Leafs, helping my Islanders. I'm making deep dish pizza. LOL. There you go. And in support of Chicago. So there you go. Chicago beating Pittsburgh tonight helps out the New York Islanders in their hopes of making into the playoffs. I believe at this point they just need 1 point to lock it up, but I'll double check. I'm not too sure, but glad we could help you out, Empire State Construction. We stole a point away from Florida the other night. Not the 2 that you were hoping and take those away, but then you get that opportunity from the Hawks tonight. So I'm glad that that helps you out a little bit. Very supportive here in the chat. Have been a very good participant, nice participant in the Leafs Digest chat. We've enjoyed having the Isles fans in here. But another super chat here, Joe Hill. Joe, again, you're a legend. I appreciate the super chats very much. But Joe saying, look it. I've never heard Chris Chelios say that Toronto was standing up for themselves. The American commentators were shocked, but praising us. I love Joseph Wall now. I just can't be happier. Look, I didn't get to hear the American broadcast, so don't know myself there in terms of what happened, but glad to hear that as well. I don't know what their tendencies are on things, but also, I mean, even here on the TSN broadcast tonight, hand up. I love the broadcast that we get to see here tonight and the broadcast we get to see on Thursday. It's one of the main reasons that I don't want to do another watch along in tonight's game and Thursday's game is because of what we get to see and how refreshing they are and how good they are at those broadcasts. But even they were continuing to give love to the Leafs and their physical play and the way they stood up for themselves, and not only standing up for themselves. I think one point to it as well is like, hey, you're going to get in these little messes with Tampa Bay where they're going to try to draw you into things. I think they're very good at it, but I think the honest thing that we can kind of take away from all this is like they're a pissy team, and pissy can be good, and it's benefited them before. It's helped them out. It draws penalties. It draws power plays for them. It sucks the other team into getting into these little pissy battles. But if Toronto can continue to keep level-headed like they did here tonight, obviously you see the penalty to Bunting on the one late where Tavares got grabbed and Bunting jumped in. I have my own thoughts on that as well, but genuinely the way that I saw this one tonight, Toronto was fairly level-headed. They didn't freak out when they got the penalties. They didn't go nuts over those things. They legitimately stayed pretty calm, allowed Tampa to get themselves running around and freaking out and screaming at refs and screaming at the Leafs and trying to draw them into stuff. Yes, the Leafs walk away from this one with a bunch of penalties, but Tampa themselves took a bunch here tonight. So I think you can stay in a spot where, hey, keep things even-keeled, and you're going to have guys like Nikita Kucherov who's going to throw a hissy fit, and he's going to kick you, and he's going to try to trip you, and he's going to swing sticks, and he's going to do all that kind of stuff. Like, it's going to happen. Bring them out, and they're going to freak out. They're going to take penalties, and not only that, but they'll get off their game because they start freaking out a little bit. They're going to start to freak out a little bit and start to lose their minds, and you can just drag them into it and let them freak out because, hey, maybe it's not always going to end up in a situation where you're going to end up on a power play and benefit from that, but the reality of it is they can get off their game. And maybe it's not going to be that they're going to start playing poorly, but it's just not they're not going to execute to the level that they should. So happy to see that here as well, and happy to see the Leafs stick up for themselves, as Joe's saying that the ESPN broadcasters were giving them credit for. So it was just like there was so many positives kind of coming out of this one, and just considering as well, you're not having one of your best defensemen in Giordano, and you're not having Matthews and Marner play tonight, and you walk away with this performance, still scoring 4 goals against these guys. I think that there's a lot to take away from as Leafs fans and be happy with here tonight. But I also do want to shout out Joe Hill with the channel membership gifts. Appreciate Joe for doing that. If you guys want to claim a channel membership, you want access to all those little emojis that you see on the screen, I added the new one because we got new channel members. You guys can get access to those. First and foremost, there's about 4 more to claim that Joe sent, in the chat there, you click the gift box and you will be gifted a channel membership yourself, so you can get access to all of those little emojis. You guys can have those. You just click on that and you yourself will become a Maple Leafs Digest channel member. As we continue to get more members, we will launch something where we can do a playoff pool, and we can have everyone who is a channel member join in the playoff pool, your playoff predictions. And then as well, next season, we're going to look at doing a Leafs Digest Fantasy Hockey League, and we will compete in a Fantasy Hockey League. You can go head-to-head, with myself, with everyone else here in the Leafs Digest channel, so we can all compete against each other and make trades and stuff. It'll be fun to go through and sort out throughout the course of the season, so make sure to join that. But if you want to claim your channel membership there, you can click on the gifts at the top there, gifted by Joe. So legendary by Joe for doing that, so thank you. I also saw here Empire State Construction saying he's a closet Leafs fan. Appreciate that. Also saying, who do Leafs fans hate the most? I'm curious. Canadians, Flames, who is it? Look, I'm going to put a poll here of who I think. I'm interested to hear what your guys' thoughts are. But, like, if it's me, the team that I hate the most is probably Boston because of what they did to us and what we had to deal with. The Habs, I don't really have it out for as much. The Sens, I don't really have it out for as much. I think part of it is because in the last little while, the Leafs have kind of dominated those teams, and the Leafs are actually good teams, but a good team, and those teams have struggled over the last couple of years. I mean, obviously the Habs beating us that one series, but even then it wasn't really like, oh, like I hate the Habs so much in terms of like they're the team I hate the most. But put a poll in the chat for everyone. Who do Leafs fans hate the most? I'm going to put options as Boston, Ottawa, I think that's fair to add, Montreal, and then add option other. I think that's pretty good. There you go. Poll in the chat if anybody wants to vote on that and let us know your thoughts. But you guys can vote away in the chat. We'll talk about that throughout the course of the show and bring that up. But yeah, there you go. Few other things I want to bring up here in the chat as I'm seeing. Also, before I get to those, just reminder here, you guys get to the 50 likes, it comes out. And hopefully during the playoffs, I'm going to be honest, guys, I don't love doing them, but love doing them for you guys. You hit like every 50 likes, 50, 100, 150, 200, 250. You have to bring the salts out. And for those who were here last year during the Leafs Digest streams, the playoff streams, we brought out the salts sometimes 5 times on a show, 6 times on a show. We were hammering away likes. So if you guys want to see them, every 50, the salts come out for you guys. But I know it's a little ridiculous, but got to do it. All right. All right. There you go. Few things in the chat I want to talk about. Eyes will water here. That's just a heads up, a little disclaimer. That's going to happen. B40. This reminded me of the 1984 Oilers finally maturing and toughening up to finally defeat the Isles dynasty that owned them for years. Leafs, different team this year. Look, I obviously did not get to watch that, unfortunately. That being said, what I do know about it is what I've read, heard on podcasts, heard stories heard from other people, watched highlights of, whatever I could find of those. And I don't know if it's 100% or fully to the point of matching up that path or that energy of what it was. I'm sure you guys in the chat could probably help me understand a little bit more of what happened with Boston and their maturity process, and the Oilers and their maturity process, and what it took for them to get over that hump to beat the Isles. But yeah, the Isles were a dynasty themselves, and then it was the Oilers who kind of came through and took that from them and took that away and then turned it into their own dynasty. Now, I am not going to sit here and pretend like, oh, this is the beginning of a dynasty. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. You still haven't even won a playoff round, let alone gotten to the finals or won a cup or anything like that. That success hasn't been here, so it has to happen. But in terms of maturity, physicality, and kind of the right group and combination of people, right now I give Kyle Dubas kudos because I think that he's put together a good group of people. We saw in the last couple of seasons, he brought in veteran players to come and join this team. And I know we clamored for size and toughness and physicality, but I think that this year more than most, he brought in way closer to a hybrid of player of the style that he wants to play than trying to build a hybrid of team. And what I mean by that is that in the past couple of years, he's brought in guys who are just a bruiser or just a veteran presence, and they don't have that connection to being able to bridge the gap into making it meaningful play on the ice. Whereas this year, I think bringing in O'Reilly, McCabe, you obviously bring back Giordano, then carrying over Achari. I think those types of guys are guys that can really make an impact in the playoffs and be real positive difference makers come playoff time. I think those guys are the types of players who are good playoff players, and putting them in support of the players that we have on this team, Matthews, Marner, Tavares, Nylander, and giving yourself a good supporting cast, I think that is a great way that he's built this one out. And because those guys that he brought in, they are physical and veterans and not scared, and they are mature players. But on top of that, they can fit into the skilled game. And no, they're not going to blow you away. Achari's not going to blow you away with skill, but he can fit in. He can score every now and then. He can contribute that. So I think that those are kind of benefits that you add on here, and the way that this team is, then adding on some of these guys that are around, like you're talking about there with the maturity B40, with like, okay, I think these guys, I hate to say it because I always hated giving this any type of answer where you kind of sit there and say, oh yeah, like, you learn from the mistakes. Oh, this is a learning opportunity. I hated that over like the last 2 years, because to me it was like, okay, stop learning. Like, please stop learning. Like, let's move forward and just start to utilize this. But like, hopefully we can see it here in this year, that the learning has paid off and we are more mature. B40 saying, listen, Leafs fans, and get the word out, this kid's channel, and that's coming from an Isles fan. Thank you, B40. I appreciate that. Do appreciate that a lot. Yeah, Empire State saying, I like the Habs. I'm older. I saw Islanders dynasty as a young kid. Habs are okay. I don't know, Empire State. I can't get behind that one. I can't. Hopefully we can convert you. Get away from the Habs stuff. Get yourself into the Leafs game here. You can hop in with us a little bit. Well, obviously the Isles hopefully make the playoffs here, and we'll support you guys here in the chat. B40, Empire State. We'll continue to support you guys, but we'll reciprocate that. So we'll continue to reciprocate that. I'll sneak in some Isles updates every now and then to make you guys happy. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know how the Leafs fans will take about it, but I'll just slip in an Isles update every now and then, a points update, or maybe I'll talk about Bo Horvat throwing shade at the Canucks and talking about how, a playoff run or trying to push for the playoffs of the Islanders is more fun than what it was in Vancouver. But yes, appreciate the support from you guys there, and appreciate the support from all the Leafs fans who continue to come back. Also, hilarious comment from our guy Dukes in the chat. Duke said, hated most, trying to find it quickly here, but he said, who do Leafs fans hate the most? Boston, Montreal, Ottawa, Justin Hall. I thought that was a pretty funny answer, at least. Funny answer. I'll give credit to that. Yeah. All right. Another super chat here from our guy Joe Hill. Joe with the super chat. Very much appreciated. Thank you, Joe. Joe saying, all right. It is a quote from Nyes. It says, Nyes saying, I don't like this rink, to be honest. It kind of stinks. And he says, boys, we have an effing beauty in this kid. I love it. Yes, for those who don't know as well, just a little back on that, a little backstory in it is Nyes lost the championship game in Amalie Arena this year. That's where they lost the NCAA championship in overtime to Quinnipiac. So, yes, he's going to have an extra little hatred for this. And honestly, if this continues to go and you can continue a run here through the first round, hopefully he can turn that around and it can be the launching pad to his NHL career with just a great first round and helping the Leafs defeat the Tampa Bay Lightning in that barn in the first round. That's what I'd like, you know? I mean, game 4, like, get them out of there. Like, just don't even worry about it. Just get in, get out, and wrap things up. Maybe that's the best way to go about it. But, yeah. All right, continue to go through some of the stuff in the chat. I have a ton of notes from tonight that I'm interested to go through, but I see a lot of questions, so I'm very happy to answer all the questions. You guys can continue to send those, continue to like the stream. I appreciate that. Continue to subscribe to the channel. But Andrew Leonard here saying, hey, Zach, if you haven't talked about this, how did you feel about Nyes? From what I saw, he was responsible defensively and had some good offensive looks and didn't get dumped. Yeah, I talked about it a little bit, but just for people who missed maybe the beginning or have their own questions about Nyes, we had a super chat earlier in the stream talking about, okay, where are we kind of at? Urban Droid was asking where are we at on Nyes. Like, does this guy deserve a spot, or should he get a chance at a spot in the roster come playoff time? And my answer is, based on tonight, and especially what he built off of last night, where we all kind of had the takeaway of like, hey, this guy actually played pretty well. My answer is yes. He shouldn't just get a chance or have a chance. He deserves an opportunity in the first round if he can continue to build off this. Like, if we see him play like this and build in New York on Thursday and continue to pick up this play, continue to show his offensive creativity, awareness, his ability to not just be creative, but actually create chances for yourself. We saw him do that a few times. I'm really happy with him. One thing that he's really good at, I saw Frankie Corrado talk about it earlier today, and I think he was spot on, is that Nyes is a guy who can create separation, and a lot of that can come off of him winning battles on the wall. He's strong enough. He's big enough, coming in 6'3", 210 pounds. This is a guy who can create space. He's not going to just get thrown around. Yeah, he's going to take some hits. He took one from Giovanni Smith last night. But that being said, he's not a kid who's going to get lit up and just lay around or be scared of the next play, the next hit, the next corner battle. Like, he got hit and he went right into the next one. He goes out there and hits a guy, finishes a check. Or he goes in and he beats the guy to the corner battle because he's not afraid of having the check finished on him. He's a big, strong kid. He's got the big hockey ass that goes in the corner, and he's not afraid. So he brings that energy, he brings excitement, and oh my God, he looks very willing to learn. He goes and sits on the bench, and he talks to O'Reilly. He talks to Tavares. He's asking Matthews questions and learning from him. So it's like, I honestly kind of come here and sit and look at that and look at his willingness to learn and his willingness to improve on a daily basis. Like, if he can continue to do that, I'm going to be really happy with him. And just in terms of his responsibility, look, defensively, there's some things he's got to learn. There's some things he's going to have to learn and figure out. And I'm fine with that, as long as he continues to try and he continues to get put in opportunities to learn with guys who can help him be bailed out. And what I mean by that is he's going to have a much better opportunity to be recovered for and to take chances and to learn from things if he's out there with O'Reilly and Tavares and like those guys, because they are going to help him in spots. I'm going to say something. This might be insane. I really, really, really want to preface this by saying he is not this player. I am not comparing him to this player and saying he is this player or he will be this player. Matthew Nyes, to me, through the first 2 games, his physique, the way he carries himself, his back-checking, stick lifts, and the way he gets his shot off, as well as his corner battles and how he beats guys down low. it gives me shades of Austin Matthews. And I don't think this guy's going to be a 60-goal scorer and a guy who goes off and wins that. I'm not saying he can't be, but I'm not putting that prediction out there of him. But he looks like a Austin Matthews light. Watch his skating. He's this big guy who moves with powerful strides. I don't think he's slow by any means. I think that was something that kind of got a little bit blown out of proportion. But I think that he's a big guy who moves powerfully. He moves with purpose. He moves with strength. I look at his strength on the puck, on corner battles, in like with the stick lifts, back checking. He is very committed to back checking. He's committed to defensive play. And those offensive zone stick lifts where he's chasing a guy back, or neutral zone stick lifts, and he lifts the guy's stick, and not only lifts it, but he turns around quickly and is able to turn that puck into an offensive opportunity, or put the puck down into the corner so that the Leafs can go and go play pucks in the corner and turn around and create chances themselves. The way he does those things, it is legitimately, and I'm not talking about his level of play here, guys. I want to clarify that as well, because I know 6 1/3 is saying 2 games. I'm not talking about his level of play. I'm talking about his physical look, like the way he looks. Like, if you guys have watched Moneyball, I watched it again on Friday night. I just love that movie, but it legitimately, for some reason, was something where they joke about, oh, you're talking about guys' physiques or whatever, or the way they move and whatever. That is the way I'm comparing here, Nyes to Matthews, is just that the physique, the way he carries himself, the way he moves, his commitment to defense, his style. Like, it's his style of play. That is where I'm going with this, and that is the comparison. So I know that I'm going to get like radioed on that one, and at some point you guys are going to be like, yo, remember when you said this? Like, maybe that's going to happen. But I had to say it. It was something that came to me tonight when I was watching, because last night it was like, whoa, I like the way that this guy moves and this guy plays. Like, I like this. And then tonight when I was watching it and I saw those stick lifts and I saw that commitment, I was like, this is really interesting. Mark Daigle saying nice plays just like O'Reilly, mirror image. I think kind of simple. Like, okay, I think that that's a fair comparison, but I think he's more offensively inclined than O'Reilly is in terms of ceiling. In terms of ceiling, I want to preface all of this when I'm saying that when I'm bringing these comparisons, I'm talking about ceiling, not right now. Like, not right this second to what that guy is right now. So please understand that. I'm not trying to go nuts on these comparisons and predictions. I'm legitimately talking about like what he could be as to ceiling of things. That's all it is. That's what I'm talking about with the comparison. So, Andrew, if you're still watching, I hope that kind of paints a picture for you of my thoughts of him and where I'm at, because I don't think he will be Austin Matthews, and I'm not going to sit here and project that he will be Ryan O'Reilly. I think that Mark was saying is a pretty good comparison. I think that that's a fair point for him to make. But in terms of like, oh yeah, straight up, like this is what he is right now, the second that he stepped into a game in game 2, no, I'm not saying that. I'm not getting that ahead of myself. I'm just kind of merely saying like, these are the things, the little influences in his game, the way that he plays. Like, I see those pieces in it. So, yeah, interested there. Very interested. Super chat here from Joe Hill. Joe, appreciate you for the super chat. Joe sang with a hot take here. Coming in with a hot take. My hot take. Wall looks a lot like Felix out there. If you're talking about Felix Potvin, I can't help you. I'm sorry. I'll leave it at that comparison. I don't know myself, but sure, Joe, I'll take your word for it. But I think this is going to lean into something else that was said here in the chat. Warrior Womp. Also, by the way, yes, Arnav and Taylor Ostler both clarifying what I was saying about Matthew Nyes. Play style of play. They both brought it up in the chat. That's what I'm talking about. Play style and style of play. So yes, that's where I'm going with that. But with what Joe's saying here in terms of Wall, I can't make that comparison to Potvin. I don't know. Sorry. But Warrior Womp said, what do the Leafs have to give up to get rid of Murray's contract? I don't know what they would have to give up specifically. The way that NHL contracts are valued and money is valued year after year is very... It varies every single year because cap can vary, pick value can vary, the use of LTIR and things like that, they can change, which changes values of players. It also changes values of players based on desperation of a team. How desperate is this team to get out of that spot? How tight are they up against the cap? So where can you go with those? But what I will say is that no matter what the cost of it is, I think where Joe's going with this, and I think what a lot of people see out of Wall lately, and the fact that they did sign him to a contract that carries him through the next 2 years of the Leafs season where he can't be sent down, he's going to have to be with the Leafs, is they're going to be much more willing to move on from that contract. That's something where you look at this guy here tonight. 46 saves on 49 shots on goal. He's going to walk away from this one as the second star of the game, a .939 save percentage. Like, this kid was called up and flew here in the afternoon ahead of the game and comes in and just puts up a stellar performance, making massive saves at timely saves in timely positions for this Leafs team that were absolutely incredible. He's a younger goalie still, obviously. He's not super young, but by goalie terms, he's a younger goalie. Look, I think that he's going to make it very easy for the Leafs next year to kind of look at their goalie situation and know what they have in him and know that that is sitting there as an option to move forward with. They also have different prospects coming up underneath. So, yeah, that's kind of where I go with that. Trying to find some more stuff in the chat you guys are talking about. You guys are absolutely buzzing right now. So some of it is, especially as I'm answering things, they pass by. But, yeah, and Scott Gostick here, he is comparable to Matthew style-wise, was among my earliest thoughts watching him both last night and tonight. There you go. Paolo Ricci saying maybe a Kopitar type player on nice. Okay, I think that's high praise as well. Luke Davidson, his puck control is just like Yager. If you can get even half of Yager's offense, will be golden. Fair enough. That is a bold claim. I like it, though. Mark Deigel, appreciate that, Mark. Vincent Lee, ROR did not look slow tonight. He actually chased down pucks in corner battle and beat a D-man. I think that this is interesting play. Or interesting point to talk about. I see the comment here at the bottom, Grizzly21 saying, talk about Schen's play. I am going to 100%. We're going to talk about the fight, the way he played here tonight. But look, Ryan O'Reilly in this game here tonight made me feel a whole lot more comfortable about that trade that was made because, man, I think that this guy is built for playoff hockey. I think we've seen some good stuff out of him in the regular season. Obviously here tonight in this game against Tampa, it's not like this is playoff, so it doesn't actually mean that. But it felt much more like a playoff style game. And Ryan O'Reilly truly looked like an impact player here tonight. We talked about, hey, they got to get an impact player. We got O'Reilly and there was concerns. Okay, he's not the player that he once was. Can he continue to do what he did in St. Louis the year that he won the Conn Smythe? Can he bring that back into his game? Can he be a difference maker for this Leafs team night in, night out? There was some slight concern to that because he was older. He dealt with injuries. He gets here, he gets injured. Looking at him out there tonight, I look at him legitimately and kind of sit here and think like, this is a guy that can be an impact player come playoffs. He's quick to jump into the scrum. He's quick to push guys around. He looked faster out here tonight, as was just mentioned when I read that comments about ROR. Like, he looked faster. He moved pretty well. He engaged in play. He won battles. He won races. He beat guys out to things. The other thing that he has going for him that I absolutely love out of his game is he's got sneaky hands. You look at a big guy like that who's somewhat slower, maybe, quote unquote slower, and you can kind of sit there and be like, oh, like this guy isn't going to have it as much. he can create offense with the best of them. He gets into spots, he gets into good positions, and is able to create nice opportunities that set guys up. I mean, even looking at Willie's goal, that's career point number 700 for Ryan O'Reilly. Pretty happy with that acquisition, and to me, I think we're in a good spot here for depth and versatility, because I think that where we could go with him is, now you have a spot, especially with Matthew Knies, where you could go with like a first line and 2 seconds, or you could go with a first line and an overloaded second. And I know that this may even be crazy, but you could go, if you get into a tight spot in a game, maybe you're tied late or you're up 1 goal and you're going to cut it down to 2 lines and you're going to go with that. You could go, or 3 lines. You can load Knies onto a first line with Matthews and Marner, push Bunting out, go to a 3rd line, and then go with a 2nd line of O'Reilly, Tavares, Nylander. You have plenty of opportunities and options with this team now. I think so many opportunities, so much versatility, and I really think O'Reilly's just coming into his top level of play here, especially at the exact right time where we get into the playoffs. So, yeah, happy with O'Reilly's play, and I agree. He did not look slow tonight. Like, he actually looked fast, and coming off a back-to-back, having some jump in your legs in a game like this, I think these playoff games bring something different out of O'Reilly, where he's looking around like these games mean something. I'm in a serious battle here now with this team, with a team that can do something, with a team that's probably more skilled than the St. Louis team was that he played on, and maybe built just as well for a playoff run as that St. Louis team that won a cup. And he's looking around going, this team can do something. We got goaltending, we got stud players, we got studs back on defense, and I mean, a beefy guy of Shen, a guy like Riley who's going to maybe create some offense and maybe sneak into a spot where if he gets limited minutes and gets sheltered a little bit, he can fit into your 3rd pair. Giordano out there who can just roam around and be a little bit of a nuisance for the other team, because he can just eat minutes, kill penalties, block shots, move the puck pretty well. I think there's a lot of strong play back there defensively, and then he looks at this top and he goes, we got guys, we got Cookie brought over with him from St. Louis, we're going to have an opportunity, and that just injects a little bit more life into your legs. Super chat here from Joe Hill. Joe saying, they shouldn't have taken a run at JT at the end of the first. That was the turning point. I don't know if this was the turning point necessarily. I don't think there's anything wrong with the hit. Definitely, I don't think it was a penalty. It was more just a questionable one timing-wise. Like, the buzzer was going. I mean, you play to the buzzer, so it is what it is. You play it all the way to the end of the period, end of the game. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. That's how you're supposed to do it. But I do agree in the sense that it sent some life into the Leafs, where O'Reilly jumped immediately, and once it came out of that, it was just a gong show from there. Every single whistle, every hit led to something. It was scrums. It was roughing guys up. It was face washes. Like, this was something to behold with what the Leafs team turned into after that first period, because O'Reilly jumped right away. Like, he sprinted across the ice. And then you even had Morgan Riley come in and join into the mix. Like, everyone kind of just said, no, this isn't happening, and went in there and mixed it up, and it kind of injected more life into the Leafs. I know I keep saying injected, but it did. It just brought that into them, injected into O'Reilly's legs, injected into the Leafs' energy. And this year, more than what we saw before and where things were before, I mean, you see that play happen, and maybe you get a guy or two go in there and push someone and be like, hey, don't do that, and then that's kind of it. It put life into them. And they were ready to play after. Super chat here again from Joe. Joe, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. But another super chat here from Joe. Joe saying, big difference metrics here. Block shots, Toronto, 18. Tampa Bay, 6. Takeaways, Toronto, 13. Tampa Bay, 9. Toronto, giveaways, Toronto, 3. Tampa Bay, 10. Yes, those are some pretty big difference ones. Like, I mean, you look at, those are obviously the surface level stats of looking at stuff, but again, in this one, it's like, okay, can you do these little things? Limit giveaways. You limited giveaways tonight. Can you increase takeaways? You lose the puck, get the puck back. Or Tampa's breaking out of zone on something, get the puck back. Can you turn things in your favor? Can you take it back and go that way? And then the other part of this is defensive buy-in. I mean, how are you going to contribute defensively? How are you going to go out there and commit to not allowing shots on goal and pucks on net and opportunities for the other team? Well, this Leafs team, I mean, look at the blocked shots for Toronto, 18 tonight. I'm just looking here at Jake McCabe, blocked shots, 5. I think this guy might have even had more and they just didn't get counted. Luke Schenn, 3 block shots. Liljegren, 2. Hall, 1. Brody, 1. Looking at the forwards, Achari, a couple block shots. Like, you had guys through the lineup. Austin Matthews is one of the league leaders in forwards in block shots. There is a completely different buy-in from this Leafs team in terms of the way that they've been playing, how they've been contributing, and their defensive buy-in, especially over the last month here. And I think a lot of this has to do with Jake McCabe, Ryan O'Reilly, and Noel Acciari stepping in and saying, guys, this is how we got to play. I mean, we even heard from Zach Aston-Reese, who quite literally said watching O'Reilly made him start practicing differently and mixing things into his practice routine. And he started adding that to his game. You are seeing these guys make an immediate impact, even just in their commitment to the game, their commitment to their craft, and their dedication to being better players. Ryan O'Reilly won a Conn Smythe. He won a Stanley Cup, and he still spends every day going out there trying to improve on his game, improve on his play. So you have those guys in the locker room. They fit in here. Obviously, it's something that you kind of look at and say, hey, we wish our guys that are on this team would have done it themselves and stepped up and done it themselves. But reality of it is, if another guy has to come in here, or 2 other guys have to come in here and push you on that level and say, hey, this is the way things are, this is the way things have to be if you want to be successful, and uplift other players, drag them into defensive play. Watching Giordano and McCabe block a zillion shots every single night, it's going to drag other guys in. Watching Luke Schenn finish every single check that he has an opportunity to finish brings Justin Holl in, and he says, I got to finish every check now too. Achari did it offensively. Zach Aston-Reese said, I'm going to do that as well. I can play like that too. This is something different. It's a different feel. I mean, I could look like an idiot by next week breaking down Leafs playoffs games and what went on with them. But reality of it is, this feels different than what we've seen out of the team before, because even injecting other guys in, it never felt like the team outlook changed. The team values changed in a positive light. We never saw that permeate throughout the entire group, where it was an entire top to bottom commitment and buy-in from the team to all of these aspects. And as Arnett B's here saying, locker room atmosphere matters. It does. And the way guys impact and talk to each other and the buy-in you see, and you're just seeing that from everyone. And you're looking at it and it feels like everyone is doing these. Marner blocks shots. Nylander occasionally blocks shots. Tavares, Matthews, the big boys block shots. Everyone else is starting to do that. And then you throw in O'Reilly and Achari, who are guys who are like, we've been there, we've done that, we've been on successful teams. It really, really, really starts to feel different vibe about this Leafs team. So, yeah, there's that. Empire State Construction saying, what was final score in Leafs game? I wanted to watch, but was glued to Blackhawks game. It was 4-3 for the Maple Leafs here tonight. 4-3. All right, guys, I told you. Every 50 like spots, we go with the salts here. So, I mean, keep my promise to you. You get it to 150. There's 155 people watching, so there's no reason we can't get to 155. But you get it to 155 of all the people watching, you like it, then more salts again, and we'll continue the show on. I think we'll probably even go a little bit longer here tonight as people are fired up after this win, and we can take some calls here. So if anybody does want to call in, I will send the link again. Otherwise, I know we have someone who would be interested in calling in, and I will be happy to have them in the call here tonight. But if anyone else out there wants to call in, you're welcome. You can join the Discord. You send me a message. Happy to continue on this show here tonight, especially with people watching. But I do ask, please, hit the subscribe button. hit like. We're going to continue to do post-game streams and watch-alongs come playoff time. We will continue to do more stuff like that. We'll continue to add more exciting things to this channel, things that you guys would like, things that you guys suggest you want to see here on this channel. I'm happy to take recommendations or requests or whatever it is and try to build that, because as much as I love just doing this channel and talking about things about the Leafs and watching these games and reacting to all this stuff, as much as it is about me doing things that I enjoy here, and I do love doing this is about the Leafs as a community and making sure you guys feel involved in things. I think that's one thing. You see your names on the screen. If you guys are a part of this show as much as I am running the show here, just sitting on the screen, you guys are as much a part of this as I am, in my opinion, because you coming here and being a part of the post-game chats and having conversations and calling into the show and sending me messages. I got people in here. I mean, obviously you can imagine that Joe and Rob are guys messaging me aside, but I have other people watching the show who message me at different times of the day about the Leafs, and I legit love that, because it is just constantly Leafs news coming into my life, which is all that I could ever ask for on a daily basis, having you guys send me that and participate. So yes, I do appreciate that, but here you go. All right, there you go. 40 more. 40 more for more. You guys want to see more of that? 40 more. We'll do it again. Also, as I mentioned, we're going to have some special guests on during the playoffs. Obviously, we'll continue to take callers here on the show. Happy to do that. And we'll continue to take... we're going to have a first-time caller here tonight, actually, I think. We were going to have guests. We're going to continue to take callers into the playoffs, but we're going to have different guests come on, and I think that we're going to have some different Leafs guests come on, not necessarily players. I'll see what I can do about that, if I can get any, but yes, we are going to have different people join us on the show from different Leafs channels or different Leafs podcasts and stuff out there. So yes, Pasquale, if you want to check your messages, you're more than welcome to call in here. But okay, while we wait and see, Joe, I'll get to you, especially we're waiting here on a call into the show. Oh, there you go. All right, here we go. Calling into the show for the first time ever. I think that his Zoom name is probably his name. I'm not sure what he wants me to go by, so I'll leave it and let him introduce himself in a second. But of course, calling in here, when we do get call-ins, we go to the Queensway Automotive Hotline for our sponsor. So let me hit that real quick, and then we'll add the caller into the stream here. All right, first-time caller on the show. Very happy to have first-time callers. Anybody else who wants to call in ever for the first time, you guys are more than welcome. I feel like this is a pretty inviting environment that we've got going on here, but you do have a different name in the Discord than you have on your Zoom here. Not sure what the name is that you're going by in the chat, so I don't want to just throw this on you and maybe out you of what your name is if you're trying to hide it, but welcome to the call. What do you want us to call you here on the Leafs Digest channel?
You guys are all welcome to call me Alex. That's my actual name, so yeah.
Okay, there we go. There you go. All right, Alex, welcome to the Leafs Digest channel. Appreciate you calling in. I'm very happy to have you. How's it going tonight? First time caller on the show.
Yeah, honestly, I'm having a great night, and I tried to get joining a call, I think it was about a year ago, and it was before the Game 7 series. I actually saw the messages in our Discord here regarding that, and I couldn't actually make it because I had my birthday coming up that week, actually, looking back at it.
Right. Yes, I'm looking at the messages now. So I'm seeing, what is this? May 13th,
Yeah.
2022. We had messages. That was when we had talked last, and then send me the message here tonight. Hey, still taking guest calls. So yes, happy to have you on. That's right. Actually, looking at the dates of it, because I saw your name and I knew we had messaged before. I saw the messages, but yeah, there you go. All right, welcome back.
Yeah.
Or welcome for the
Thank
first
you.
time, but back to yes, happy to have you here.
Yeah,
Well,
I've watched you for a while now. I'm trying to think. Think it was before the Montreal series. I think that season, the
oh
COVID
wow,
season.
like
That
the
was like when I
original.
yeah. So it's been a while. I just haven't gotten around to joining. So I'm happy to be here, honestly.
Yeah, well, happy to have you. All right, so let's get into it. You wanted to call in here tonight, so we'll start right away. I mean, first of all, I'm sorry that we couldn't get you in last year. Unfortunately, that wasn't even the Leafs Digest fault. That actually ended up being on the Leafs because they weren't able to continue on the season at that point. But nonetheless, we still got plenty of opportunities for you to continue to call in down the stretch here. But right away, you see this game here against Tampa, a 4-3 victory, a night where Matthews and Marner don't play. Joseph Woll, essentially your third goaltender, hops in here on emergency recall basis. He flies down in the afternoon of the game, and the Leafs find a way to grit out a win against Tampa here tonight. Like, how are you feeling after this one?
Honestly, like I was a little, skeptical of what was going to happen today because obviously, being out without Matthews and Marner, I was like, all
Yeah.
right, we'll see what the depth has, and especially being down even one forward, right? Because we what I call it, regarding the emergency basis with the call up and all that, and all that kind of like the factors that we had. And I think we just played a solid game. I think we played very physical, which made me really happy. And honestly, I feel like Shen was just a big. I think he was one of the best players tonight, personally. My opinion. I think Shen played a fantastic game, personally.
Well, I think I think like to your point, like I think a lot of people who look at it base level are going to look at him and be like, well, he's not that impressive. But I think like to your point there, Alex, is like he did his job perfectly. Like what he's supposed to do, he did, and he did it very well. He played 16 minutes and 29 seconds of ice time, which I'm pretty sure he's not going to play that much come playoff time. But I think he just executed his job well. Blocking shots, commit to getting pucks out, clear the front of the net, play physical, finish every check, fight when you have to. He not only did he fight, but he won the fight pretty handedly. Pat Maroon landed 0 punches, threw 0 punches, and Shen basically just bodied him for like at least 7, 8 punches that he landed there. But yeah, I mean, I was really happy and impressed with Shen's game here tonight as well. And even just looking at some of the numbers, like 5 hits, a fight, 3 block shots. He scores a goal. I mean, 1 for 1 on shooting percentage tonight. 1 shot on goal, 1 goal. Yeah, really good night for Luke Shen here tonight. I would agree with you there, Alex.
Yeah, and that was the one because especially the beginning of the game, I feel like he set the tone right away, and then after the overturned goal, him scoring within what was it like the 15 seconds or so, I think that really changed the
Yeah,
momentum because we were
yeah.
like I felt like we were on the back foot there at the beginning, and I know throughout the game we had less shots than they did, but I feel like we put up a fight, and I think we just played defensively pretty solid, especially killing 8 power plays from Tampa Bay over there, especially one of the best power plays in the league. So I think that was
Yep.
just something very positive to look at going into the series for sure.
All right, so what are some other things that you kind of take away from this? And I'm interested in your thoughts on Matthew Nyes here tonight. Kind of how he played, his fit in the lineup, and then what do you do with him going forward? I've obviously had a lot to say about him tonight. I don't know if you were in the chat and watching when I kind of threw out the comparables of play style to some of the guys on the Leafs team that we're seeing right now in Matthews and O'Reilly, and just that big physical body and the size and presence that he has out there in puck control, and as well as his commitment to defense. But am I out of line for a comment like that? Do you kind of think that might have been a ridiculous comment? Where do you slot in on Nyes, and what are your impressions of his game here tonight?
So regarding Nyes, I have watched a little bit of him in college, like, throughout the year and all that. And just to keep up with his game and, because I saw the hype regarding him and I'm like, all right, let me, follow this player. And honestly, I think what he brings and what it's shown in these first 2 games, I think he's getting comfortable. Obviously got the assist today, which is fantastic. Like I said. So I think it's just a moment of, he's just going to keep getting more and more comfortable. And I think that, especially this last game, we'll really see how he feels. And, even if he
Yep.
doesn't score, get a point, depends how he plays defensively, which I think defensively, yeah, he had those couple, mistakes, but that does happen, especially, first two games in the NHL. And I think,
Yeah.
honestly, his checking, let alone he's a big dude. And he honestly seems, he keeps up with speed with the rest of the players. I don't think he's the quickest guy, but I don't think he's, slow. And I think that
Yeah.
that shot, we didn't get to see too much of it, but we saw it today a little bit. And I think that shot's just, he's going to have a great clean opportunity once he gets those clean passes. And I feel like he's just going to start burying them, honestly. And I think that he has a place in the playoff lineup. And I think
Yep.
minimum, I think third line, I think personally, if he's playing with like O'Reilly on the third line and maybe like a Chari or something like that, I think that'd be, if they don't want to give him top 6 minutes, which, that's the coach's discretion. But I think personally I would, but if they want to do something like that, I think third line minimum. I don't think fourth line would be suitable for him at all.
I I agree with you. I think that especially if he's going to slot into that third line, putting him with O'Reilly, and I actually like that little pairing that you threw out there of Achari, and you put them together. That is going to be a hard third line to match up against. You've got defensively responsible guys. O'Reilly and Achari both kill penalties. You can rely on them from that aspect. You got guys who are going to go, all three guys. You're literally going 3 for 3 on players who are going to go into corners, win battles, hit guys. They're not afraid of anybody or anything. I think Nyes has proved that, because if he was going to be afraid of anything, tonight would have really shown. Like, we would have really seen that tonight against Tampa, a team that will just finish every check, run you through the wall every chance that they can, and he wasn't. He would go into every battle. He would hit anybody and take hits from anybody. So I was happy there with that, and I think that that's a good opportunity for him. But one thing you said there about the shot, I feel like we haven't really got to truly see it with this Leafs team yet. If you hadn't seen him really in college, he is a guy who is known to have like a deceptive shot and a very quick release. He is from Arizona, trains with Matthews, learned from Matthews, idolized Matthews. He doesn't have the same shot as Matthews, but he's basically tried to copycat Matthews in the way Matthews shoots and gets the release off. And one thing that I kind of saw a hint of on the shot, and just in terms of style of shot, was that shot that he had in the second period. I think it was coming in on the power play, where he just walked in and took the opportunity for himself and just missed off of Vasilevsky's shoulder. Yeah, I think that this guy's going to have opportunities, and I really do think he deserves to be in the lineup. So, yeah, I would agree with you there. But, okay, Alex, I'm curious your thoughts. A lot of it is going to have to do with, yes, they went 2 for 6 here tonight on the power play. That's 33%. That's very good. But last year we saw them cool off when it got time to go into the playoffs, and it became important to capitalize on these opportunities. I know it wasn't really something we saw too much of here tonight, or something we can have too many takeaways with, but Morgan Rielly hasn't been the best quarterback on the Leafs power play. Now, if you go with the defensive pairings of the 6 that we've kind of seen, he seems to kind of be the only option. Are you okay with Morgan Rielly quarterbacking power play 1 starting game 1 of the playoffs?
I like this question. And honestly, throughout the season, I was trying to, be open about Riley on the power play as the quarterback because, years past he's been doing it and he's had success in the past, but this year
Yep.
it has not been the same, obviously. And we've all seen
Yep.
that. He struggled defensively. And, the times on the power play when we've, gotten scored on the power play, right? From the other teams on like, 2-on-1 or whatever. So I I personally would rather Gustafson, if I said that correctly. I would prefer him
Yep.
personally, but obviously it's just how do you fit him in the lineup, right? And I don't see Keith taking Riley out. And I think, last year Riley against Tampa honestly did elevate his game. So that is something to consider. I've heard people think that he has a nagging injury that's, making his movement not as, smooth when he's turning and stuff like that. I don't know if that's
Hmm.
true. I've just heard that. That's just rumors. But I prefer Gustafson. Like I said the other night when we played against Montreal, I know it was the Habs, but I think he played a fantastic game for, quarterback in that power play. So
Right.
that's my take on it. And like you said, there's not really another option besides Gustafson that they're going to put on the power play quarterback. That's the issue.
Yeah, because the thing is that you go and you look at who's the other guy that could go in there. Well, it would have to be Gustafson. And if you do that, someone's coming out. And who are you taking out? Because Alex, stop me if you have a disagreement in terms of defensive pairings. But for me right now, I'm looking at this one as Brody, McCabe. I would go Geo Hall and Riley Shen. And I think that that's the way you got to play it. So who comes out if you put Gustafson in? Because I don't think they're ever going to take out Riley. I think you're dead on with that. It's not going to happen. So now where are you going to find that guy to go in the lineup and who's coming out? I don't think they go 11-7. I really don't. So it's going to kind of have to be him. But I'm going to ask you a part 2 to it. Let's say you go into game 1. God forbid you go 0 for 3 on the power play. You have very minimal time to turn things around and try to fix stuff, right? Would you be interested in going to the 5-forward power play come game 2?
That's a really interesting take. Honestly, like I actually would consider it realistically because with Riley, I just feel like the defensive responsibility of how he is, I just feel like he hasn't been there this year like that, especially or just in general in his career. But I mean, especially this year, he's been brutal at it. So I think, yeah, I think especially if you're struggling, I think your take on that's perfect. Like honestly, I think that if you're really struggling, you need to get something going. I think a 5-forward power play that'd be it. I think that's the best option, especially with the talent we have. And if they want
Yeah.
to spread it out even more, because now they have, if Nyes is in the lineup, they have Ryan O'Reilly, they have all these guys that I think are good secondary scoring options that, if that first power play doesn't get it going, they throw Gio on the second power play as the quarterback because I've seen them. They've been doing that sometimes. And I think Gio's done a decent job for, the time that he's done. So I think that, yeah, I agree with you on that 100% for the first power play. And then, the second one, they, flush out those guys with the second line unit and, go about it. So I agree with you on that 100%.
All right, talk to me here about Jake McCabe. This guy, since he's come to Toronto at a 5-on-5 level, has been absolutely incredible. You look at the expected goal share in terms of chances created versus chances created when he's on the ice and opportunities against when he's on the ice. Him and Brody, obviously, together has been incredible, and I think he's really helped Brody kind of level back out to where he was before he kind of started playing with Riley and having to basically be an anchor to Riley, where now McCabe and Brody can kind of be independent operators while also operating together in a cohesive unit, if that makes sense. And I mean, to expand on that more so, what I mean is they can just both play their own game and not have to worry about the other guy because they just fit well together. So it allows them to just be calm and comfortable in the plays that they're making and going and pinching or playing out to a guy in the corner. But one of the things that we're seeing from Jake McCabe, he's obviously this guy is tough as nails. He's not afraid of anybody, anything. He's jumping out in front of pucks, ready to eat them with his teeth. Now, down the stretch there, you see this guy makes 2 consecutive insane blocks on Kucherov on that opportunity that he had where the one goes off his foot and then the other one goes off his leg and up and wide. How impressed have you been with Jake McCabe? And the other thing I'm going to ask you is, a lot of times people kind of come into this and say, oh, well, this guy's doesn't have playoff experience. How is this going to pan out for him? Jake McCabe's never played in a playoff game. Does that concern you at all, or you think this guy's going to be fine?
So let's start off with his plays in general since we've acquired him. I think he's been out of 10. I'd give the signing, obviously there's the playoffs to determine, but right now, up until this point, I give it a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, especially for value, what you gave up and the cap hit. I think Dubas, that was a home run. I can't say anything else. I think it was a home run. He is what he's what we need, especially with Jake Muzzin. Who knows if he's going to come back, love Jake Muzzin, hope all the best for him. But like I said, he's the perfect guy to replace him. He's physical. He puts his body on the line. I remember even the first few games when he was, just starting to play for the Leafs after the trade deadline. He was I don't know what game it was. I don't know if it was against Edmonton. No, it wasn't against Edmonton. I forget who it was against, but this guy was blocking shots. And I remember watching my dad, and my dad's like, I love this guy. This guy's just blocking, he's putting his body on the line. So, regarding that, I think the signing's been amazing. And regarding the playoffs, I think his style, I think he'll be fine. I think he'll perform the same way as you just watched against Tampa Bay, which is who we're versing. I think he'll be fine. And, he was in those scrums. I think that the whole team today was just dialed in. And I think that, Jake McCabe was a big, big part in us staying in that game for sure.
Yeah. I love the guy. I was a little bit hesitant on him coming here because some of the reports that I had read were kind of the scouting reports on him. Some of the stuff that I had seen was like, okay, he can struggle a little bit breaking passes or breaking out of the zone and going up the ice with the puck. And look, there's times where we see that from him where it's not perfect or it's not the cleanest play. But I think that the skill level in Toronto is so significantly different and better than what he was playing with in Chicago and Buffalo that it kind of eliminates some of that, and it eliminates some of the concerns of that, where I could see him playing on a less talented team not being as capable of getting pucks out of the zone in terms of quick ups and breakout passes and transition plays, just because the talent around him isn't there. Now you put him in a spot where it is there and it is supportive of him. I think he's going to have a much better opportunity to do so and kind of elevate his play. The other thing on top of that is, like, I really, really don't think that the playoff stuff matters for me, that he hasn't played in the playoffs. I talked about it on the last stream, and I stand by it. You can't have playoff experience until you do it, and you can't win a championship until you do it. And I know that sounds silly to say, but it's like, again, to the same points as last year, like Crosby hadn't won one until he won. And then now that you've won, now you have the opportunity to say, oh, I was a Stanley Cup champion. I have that pedigree. Same goes for Stammer. Same goes for Hedman, McKinnon, like all these guys, like that still holds true to them. So until you get to that point and you win, then nobody can say that they have that pedigree of having gone and won. And I don't think that these playoffs, not having that experience, is really going to be something that that matters to them. But all right, so we've talked a little bit about power play, touched on some of the defense. Now, one thing I am interested in here, we talked about Nyes as well. One thing I'm curious your thoughts on with this team. Joseph Woll plays here tonight, obviously. Matt Murray is struggling with concussion, it looks like. We've seen him go down with injury issues basically all year. That has been an issue for him. He hasn't been able to stay healthy. We saw hints of him being like the superstar goalie, but he didn't really have the consistency. Now you flip over to Samsonov, and then you look at the performance Woll put up tonight. This is back-to-back goalie clinics that we saw out of these two guys. How do you feel about where the Leafs goaltending is at, whether it just be with the starting goaltender in Samsonov or the depth that we have between Samsonov, Murray, and Woll?
So the depth charts on that, I think that's great. Like having three quality NHL goaltenders, because clearly from what we've seen with Woll, I think he's more than capable. He had a fantastic game tonight. And personally, I'd have him as the backup over Murray. Like coming up in this especially this round one series against Tampa Bay, 100% I'd have him as a backup goalie. I think he's proven it. I know Murray, has, won Stanley Cups and all that kind of stuff, but I think he's just not been as reliable. There's been games where he's gotten cooked, a lot of games, and he just gets injured a lot, and I think he's just not as like reliable. That's all it really comes down to. Seems like a great guy. He's made some fantastic saves since he's been here in Toronto, but he just hasn't been able to be consistent enough, been able to be healthy enough, let alone, and just in the playoffs, like I think you want to keep Woll around the team, especially to just, be ready. And like, if you need him in a game, not calling up from the Marlies or whatever. Like, I just rather him be with the team. And I think that just benefits him. And I think that he is more than capable, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, look, I know this might sound crazy. I think Walsh should be the backup here to Samsonov as well. And two-parter. One is the play that he's had when he's been up here with the Leafs. Incredible. And two is reliability. No, it's not like I don't think at this point that Murray is a guy who is faking these injuries at all, but he can't stay healthy. And it seems to be bigger injuries than maybe we had even anticipated them being, and he's struggling with some of those. So Yeah, a little bit frustrating from that standpoint. And I think that with Wall, you're going to get that reliability back there behind him. I think him and Samsonov would probably be a good combo together. They both seem like happy, positive guys. Not that Murray isn't, but I'm just more saying like that combo together, those two. So, yeah, I'm really happy with Wall and what we've seen out of him. But yeah, I think we're kind of on the same page there. But all right, Alex, let's get to a segment that we do here. I want you to get an opportunity to be a part of this. Let's do our Awesome Matthews play of the game. All right, Awesome Matthews play of the game. Alex, I think you know how this starts. We're going to start with you. What is your play of the game tonight?
It's a very good question. Let me think, because I thought there's a lot of things I loved in this game. Play of the game. You know, I think I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like, to be honest, like I was talking about, I think it was the first thing I talked about with you, and like this is like one play, but it's like more than one. I don't know how to explain it, but I think the whole Luke Shen thing of him, the overturned goal, then him scoring, and then literally a minute or two later him getting in that fight. Like, I think just that as a whole just turned that game, and that's what I think pushed the boys to actually just push through and win that. That's what I think personally. And I think that that was just a big turning point and just changed that momentum, which is something you need in the playoffs, especially against a team like Tampa Bay, for sure.
I'm going to go with the Nyes point. Um,
I was gonna say
ends
that
up
too, but I don't know. It was close. It was close.
it ends up being the play of the game because it's the game winning goal. It's his first point in the NHL. Uh I mean, it was this close to being a goal for him and being his first goal. I was just happy with him on that. He gets an opportunity because it starts with Willie forechecking and putting pressure on Hedman, who is a Norris caliber defenseman, steals the puck off of him off the forecheck, off a strong hard forecheck, protects the puck around the net, comes around the other side, has a patience with it to not dish out front, not force the play out front, gets around the other side, makes a nice pass to Nyes, who finds himself time and space and open area, and then gets the shot off, and it's a good shot that challenged Vasilevsky, actually squeaks through him, and then O'Reilly is there on the other side to tap it in. So that to me is going to be that, especially because we've been hyping this kid up, and if we continue to go through like game after game after game and he hadn't gotten a point, I think it would have put stress on Leafs fans, on Leafs media, as well as on the kid himself. So you get that out of the way, and against Tampa Bay, his first point, he gets the assist there, and O'Reilly cleans it up. Yeah, I was happy with that. That was an exciting one. So I was really happy with that. That's gonna be my play of the game. But yeah, I mean the Shen goal, like electric. The Shen fight, those get some honorable mentions to me. Jake McCabe's blocked shots at the very end of the game, going down and getting in front of everything consecutively. Like I think he probably had like 3 block shots in the last like 30 seconds there. So
That was
pretty electric.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so exciting to see, so fun to watch and be a part of. But yeah, I was real happy with that. Alex, you've got an incredible mic over there. What's going on? What's with the setup?
A good question. So I've done music in the past, messing around with my friends and stuff like that, and I stream sometimes too, occasionally. So
What? Plug
yeah,
it.
I
Plug it.
have an actual
What is it?
my stream.
Yeah, where do you
Uh,
stream? What do you do? Plug it.
right
I'm
now,
happy to plug
why?
it. I'll send the link in the chat.
Sure. So I stream. I haven't streamed as much recently because I've been just busy. Got a new job about like 3 months ago doing IT stuff. So I've been kind of trying to get back
Congratulations.
into it and kind of, thank you, and trying to, get my life kind of all, I know, time
Sorted
management and all
out.
that stuff. But anyways, yeah, you get me. So I
Yep.
stream, like, I do video games, like play video games. I like chat, just chatting and stuff like that. Like what you do. I was thinking about doing like something with like, the Leafs and stuff like that. I just don't know. Like there's so many, like I've seen, like there's Downtown Stephen Brown, there's, Leafs Digest Yourself. There's other channels, right? And it's just like, I don't know. I don't want to take the spotlight from you guys. Like I really like watching all your guys' content, even Downtown Stephen Brown. I love watching his content too. I watch it literally like anytime he makes a video about anything, I always watch it. And same with yours. So,
Thank you. I
but
appreciate that.
but the stream, I do stream on Twitch, and I can. Do you want me to send you my link through the
Yeah.
Discord?
Send it on Discord. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in the chat here for everyone.
All right,
I
I
want to make sure
appreciate it.
we plug this stuff. Yeah, of course. All right,
Uh,
so here we go. Alex sent his link over.
Let me see if that
And
works. I don't know.
Okay.
Yes, that will work.
I'll check here too. All right.
Yeah, it works.
See, if you guys are fans here of the Leafs Digest, you support the channel. You guys are obviously support and help support friends of the Leafs channel. So make sure to go over and check out. Alex is here. I'm sending the link here in the chat for you guys to go check out. But make sure to go click on the Twitch link that I just sent. Alex, appreciate it greatly. Now, when we close off here with someone, get you to give your final take or opinion, a hot take, or even just positive words or something you want to say to the Leafs Digest chat before you go. Is there anything that you've got or you want to leave the viewers with here before you head on out of here? Final thoughts here, Alex.
All right, so final thoughts, and I thought about this earlier when we were speaking, and this is the perfect opportunity to say it. So there's two things that are my final thoughts.
Okay.
So one, if Matthew Nyes is in the playoff lineup, I think my opinion, he's taking Lafferty's spot because I don't see Keith taking out Kerfoot. I think that's if Keith takes in Nyes, like I said. But I think he'd take Lafferty's spot, or one game would be Lafferty, one game would be Nyes, whatever the case is. But anyways, that's one of my takes. And I think one of the X factors in this playoff series for secondary scoring, it might be O'Reilly, but my gut feeling is it's going to be Yarncroke. I think it's going to be Yarncroke. I think he's had a great season, and I think like Matthew's been praising him lately, and he got his 20th goal today. I think he's going to be, and I think he's had a great season, like I said. So I think he's going to be an X factor in the playoffs. That's my opinion, but hot take.
Okay, so okay, let me think of how to word this. I don't think that's a hot take, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
And the reason I don't think it's a hot take, well, maybe this doesn't disclassify it as a hot take, but I agree with you. I think he's the guy to look for. I think he's the guy who's going to be a key piece here. You look at him, he gets 20 goals here tonight. $2.1 million is his AAV that he's getting around his contract. I'm looking at the offensive production he has when he plays up in the top six. He fits in. If he fits on a second power play unit, he can contribute on a second power play when they go for 30 seconds. I think this is a responsible, reliable guy who you can trust, and I'm very interested to see how it translates to the playoffs. He didn't really have that success with Calgary last year, but that being said, it looks like Calgary kind of had some problems on their own. You fit him in with maybe a better system for him, better players around him. Alex, I'm in agreement that this is a guy who could make an impact, and I am looking at Yarncroke as a guy, to me, who, you look at Nick Paul last year or whatever, he scores the goals. Congrats to him. Like, Cirelli becomes an X factor for Tampa Bay. Yarncroke, to me, could be that piece where you're not looking right at him, but all of a sudden in the playoffs, you're going to have to say, oh my God, look at what he's done. Look at the impact that he's making. So that's what I was trying to say. I agree with you, but I guess I was saying, like, I don't know if it's as much of a hot take because I feel like we might be more, you and I are probably more in line with where some other people are at on this. It might be more of a widely considered thing at this point based on his play this year. So that's kind of what I was trying to say. I don't know if it's as much of a out there take. I think it's still a hot take, but I don't know if it's as much of like a uncommon or like ridiculous take is more what I'm trying to say. If that makes sense.
That makes sense. I think the more way I was relating it to is just from like the sports broadcasts and that they don't really talk about, like, they talk about Yarncroke, but they don't talk about him being like that big factor in the playoffs. That's just from what I've seen, right, on TV and all that. That's just my opinion from what they've said, and that's what I've seen. And I see all the, downtown Stephen Brown, everybody's been praising Yarncroke, and there's no reason not to. But I'm just saying, like, I think that's just gonna be an X factor. I think so, and like you said, you agree with me. So that's my hot take. I don't know what other hot take I have, but that's like, I just love this season. I think he's been fantastic. So I have nothing bad to say about him. And yeah, great acquisition, honestly, especially for the cap hit, for sure.
Yes. All right, Alex, I'm happy to have you call back in at any time. You are more than welcome. As well, I'm going to send it again here in the chat. If you guys haven't already, make sure to go over on Twitch and throw Alex a follow on his Twitch channel. What is it called over on Twitch? It's a follow or a subscribe? What is it? Subscriptions? Follow on
Follow
Twitch?
a
Follow?
follow on
Okay, so
Twitch. Yeah,
there
yeah.
you go. Go ahead, explain it.
Yeah, it's a follow. There's subbing on Twitch, but that costs money. And honestly, I've
Okay.
been considering to stream on both YouTube or Twitch, like at the same
Okay.
time, or even just move over to YouTube, just because I actually was interested in starting a YouTube channel. So you never know in the future, but for streaming wise, I stream on Twitch when I do. So
All right,
for
there
the
you
time
go.
being.
So go over and check out Alex's Twitch account. It is, how do you say that? Pasquale? Is that what you were doing there?
Pasquale. Yeah, you got it.
All right.
It's like a
All
nickname
right.
my friends call me. So
All right. So there you go. Check that out. Alex, you are welcome to call back anytime. I'm glad that we got to have you in here for the first time ever on the Leafs Digest channel. We were going to have Alex last year. It was his birthday, so he wasn't able to call in. And then unfortunately, the Leafs failed us all, and there was no more
of
live streams for
course.
the rest of last season. So I'm more than happy to have you on here on the stream here tonight, and happy to have you back anytime in the future. Alex, enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy the rest of the chat, the stream, if you continue to watch. I appreciate the support that you've given to the channel and the fact that you said you were watching before the Montreal series. That is true OG here on the Leafs Digest channel. That was the beginning of the beginning. You were watching this stuff when I was doing it on my laptop and had lights
Yeah,
on
I
everywhere.
remember that.
Yeah, yeah.
You
So
come
that
far,
was
man. I'm happy
great.
for you, for real.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Alex, enjoy the rest of your night. Hopefully, I see you back here in the chat on Thursday in the game after the New York Rangers. So enjoy.
Of course. Go Leafs, go.
Go Leafs, go. All right. There you have it. Alex in the chat here tonight. First time caller here on the Leafs Digest channel, and that is brought to you by the Queensway Automotive Group. Yes, as we've talked about here, we are more than happy to take callers here on the channel. So anytime anybody wants to call in, you guys can send me a message on Discord. I will send you guys the link to call in. We can talk about all the things that are happening with this Leafs team, everything going on, whether it be things you like, dislike, immediate reactions, any of that kind of stuff. But, oh my God, Arnav bringing up here in the chat, who remembers the Goody stream with Matthew's Snapchat? That was, if you guys remember that was an OG stream that we had there. That was legit gritty stream when that one happened, because my computer crashed. Just for context for anybody out there, my computer crashed during that stream. It was still going somehow. It never ended. Goody found a way from his computer in where he was to hop in on the back end and get into the stream to host it himself and take over the remainder of that stream. He goes into the stream and then his layout wasn't proper. So you're looking at this one, all of a sudden Goody's taking over and he's got like Raptors stuff. He switches over. All of a sudden he's got Leaf stuff coming up on the screen, and then he starts pulling up for everyone Matthew's Snapchat screenshots on the screen for people to see. That was an absolutely chaotic stream that was. But we do have here another person on the line to call in here tonight. So bringing him in on the Queensway Automotive Hotline. The man, the myth, the legend, Joe Hill. Joe, how you feeling tonight?
Big game, boys. I love it so much. I tell you. I was screaming get effed Tampa so much at the screen. It was fantastic. So every penalty that was called on us, I was like, that's BS. It's just I was irrational, I was emotional. I started out like, whatever, I just want everybody to be healthy. And by the end of the first, I was like, kill everyone on the ice. I want blood to be spilt. I want victory, and we got it. So I was happy.
That was kind of similar to where I was at. I'm not gonna lie. Like I opened this one and was like, like stay out of the stuff. If they're hitting you, cross checking you, just let it be. And by the end of it, I was like, I was just like sitting here like, hit them back, like hit them back. I don't care. I was getting fired up about it. I'm like, set the tone. But yeah, my mood of it changed throughout the course of the show. So yeah, and also here, Joe, were you watching that stream when everything went down and Goody took over? Okay.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
So yeah, people are also bringing up here. Goody saved that. That was 2022 Leafs Digest lore. Yeah, that was an absurd post game stream. But yeah, Goody saved us on that one. And then he ended up zooming me, and his audio wasn't working. So then he FaceTimed me and like brought it through that. Yeah, what a gong show. Those people,
you guys daisy chained everything together. That was so amazing. It was just like, how many audio sources are they gonna do? But what was great was it stopped you mid sentence. Like it was like one of those like robot sounding things. You're like, so this is what Keith needs, like that. It was like stuck like that for a while. I was like, oh no,
it was gone. Yeah, it was a bit of a mess there. But all right, Joe, let's get into tonight's game a little bit. We'll go for a little bit longer, and we'll have you on for grades of the game here. So I'm happy to break that down as well. But I mean, let's just start with like takeaways from tonight. Where are you at? What were your takeaways? I think for the most part, I kind of dug through a lot of the points that I had, but I'm happy to bring up anything that you bring up from tonight's game, and we can go through those. And if people have questions in the chat, happy to bring those up as well as we've closed this one out. And then obviously we'll close with our grades of the game.
So my big takeaway was the second period where everything was becoming a scrum. Like, we are not going to back down from you guys, shoving, pushing. I don't care who you are. I don't care that you're Corey Perry and I'm 5'8" Michael Bunting. I'm going to beat the mess out of you. And Perry's like, I'm totally not bothered. Yet the whole time he's like jawing at Bunting. So so Bunting got under his skin and didn't take a cross check from behind. Didn't care. I don't care who you are. I'm going to make sure. And then after they just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and we kept pushing back. In the third, what did we do? For 8 minutes straight, we kept the puck away from them the entire time. And there was no question as to who was the dominant force in that first half of the third. Just kept passing it around. Got to the point where Corey Perry was trying to take a run at every guy who had the puck, and we just pass it. He'd go over to them and try to take a run on it. We pass it away from the next thing you know, he's gassed after 30 seconds, has to go back to the bench. Completely neutralized a rat like that. That is a huge takeaway from that. Not only that, but did you notice, just like in Florida, they had to keep shooting from the outside? I'd love to see the heat map for
give me
tonight.
A second.
I think I saw a bit of it on ESPN, but their heat map wasn't nearly as good as the one you showed last night. But a lot of shots from outside. Very rarely were they going in deep. Whenever they did, it was getting slapped away by the defense in the front. And we were standing up for Wall. All of those things overall really, really set the tone, I think. That was much, much different than last year. Much different than last year. So that was my long-winded answer for you.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I'm going to try to pull up the heat map of it right now so that we can look at. But, I mean, while I'm pulling this up, I'm kind of curious your thoughts on, like, we heard, I talked about, someone had sent me a message and was like, oh, I'm worried about Maroon. I'm worried about Perry, Nick Paul, etc. in the bottom six, Ross Colton, because they're going to be pests, and I don't know how our bottom six is going to fare about it. That was how a message that I had received in regards to those guys. I'm kind of curious. I don't know if one game is kind of enough to really sit here and come away with a complete answer of it all and say, oh yeah, this is the way it is and we're fine. But I think beforehand, we kind of went into it with a very similar approach where we kind of felt the same way about how our bottom six matched up against theirs. Now, after a night like tonight, how do you feel about this team and their ability to match up bottom six wise against Tampa?
There is no question that Tampa is a dangerous team. They really are. They will run your show if you let them. But they are very vulnerable. And I think we saw that tonight. Um, one guy got a hip check from Riley, of all people, and went down on the ice on his back, like, oh my God. And
Yeah,
we got a
Ross
penalty
Colton.
called.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
a little
Colton.
baby. Yeah,
So, I mean, I'm like, are you guys going to actually be able to play a full game in round one, or are you just going to lay on the ice and make snow angels? The fact that in the first period and in the third period, they were diving all over the place in order to try to draw penalties, and we neutralized all eight of them, shows them that yes, they have a very effective power play, and they will probably on a night or two be able to get more than a few past us. I don't have any doubt about that. They almost got one, and with the at the end of the third was a cross pass from Cooch to Perry, but Perry missed it. So we got a lucky break there. That we're not always going to get lucky breaks. However, the X factor is that we weren't icing three of our best players, and
yeah,
that also goes to show that Vazzy can be vulnerable to our bottom six. If he's vulnerable to our bottom six, he's sure as hell vulnerable to our top six. So I even saw Willie throwing hits tonight, man. A couple of them that were down low, and no one was really noticing because it was away from the play. But I noticed because they were trying to bully him, and he was just shrugging it off. He is in playoff mode just as much as the other guys are, and I'm just happy to see stuff like that. It just seems like a confluence of really great events tonight. Tampa, again, very dangerous team, but a very dangerous team that couldn't keep up with our bottom six. What does that tell you? And that is, if we play with focus and we play well, this team is beatable, and we will beat them. That's my take.
yeah. I would agree with that. I don't really have any much more to add. I think I kind of talked about that the other day and then touched on a little bit during the show here tonight. Few things I want to just bring up here. So first of all, Rob saying in the chat, Zach, remember the post-game stream on the streets of TO when you guys went to the game? There was two. So one was the one that we were at where Matthews scored 50, and I remember Goody and I screaming in the streets and getting lost. So there was that one because I was focusing on
more
the
than
stream.
a few drinks. More than a few drinks.
Well, yeah, but I'm pretty good with I'm pretty good with directions and address and figuring places out, and even just like looking at things and knowing where to go. But I was focusing on the stream. So I was looking at the stream on my phone while I'm trying to yell at you guys on the stream on the live, and focusing because people are sending super chats and stuff. So I'm trying to read those and answer and talk to Goody and not trip on people. And then it was like 10 minutes in, someone in the chat was like, I saw that building 10 minutes ago. And I was like, I turned around and I'm like, Goody, where are we, man? Like, I've just been following you. So that was a mess. And then the other one was the one after the playoff game, round 2. We went out live outside. That one we were quite let's just say in the bag for. That was a tough one. I'm pretty sure that one was just deleted from the archives. It's gone. It's not for viewing consumption anymore. That was
no shame in it. No shame in it. If people had seen me more than a few years ago at a couple of them, like 2013 in Game 7, that would have been a bad one too. So thank God
we didn't
for
say
no live
anything
streaming.
Bad. I watched it back.
No.
There was
You were
nothing
fine.
bad or anything. It was more.
It was just more like this is a tough game, man. It's like one of those things.
All right, Joe, you wanted to talk here about the heat map and bring it up. I finally got it working here. So one thing I want to show people. Are numbers everything? No, they are not, but they do tell part of the story mixed in with the eye test. At any point tonight, did you feel like the Leafs were being completely outplayed? I didn't. It goes along with last night with Florida, where there's periods of time where I said, hey, Florida's generating a ton of opportunities, a ton of shots. It was what it was, but I never really felt like this was one of those ones where we were just outmatched, and I didn't feel like that last night. I don't feel like that tonight. Now, look here again at the heat map. We talk about the fact that Tampa, had 49 shots on goal. Joseph Woll makes 46 saves. The Leafs only have 24 shots on goal. And I think that people will walk away with the shot differential and kind of have a take of like, oh, this is bad because they're generating so much more than we are. I think over a consistent period of time, the answer to that is yes. It is probably not ideal for that to continuously be the case, because if you go into game 1, game 2, game 3, game 4, and every night it's 45 to 25, 50 to 27, whatever it is, and that's what you're dealing with, you're going to kill out your goalies by like round 2, 3 if you get there. But what I will say in these isolated incidents where people bring it up is this follows very similar to last night. Not quite the same, but similar. Looking at kind of the dark bubbles for Tampa Bay here, it's pretty much even
a lot
to
of
what
those,
Toronto's were.
A lot of those were late in the third too, when they had a 2-man advantage. So there's also that.
So there's power play opportunities for Tampa Bay. There are those odd man chances. They outnumbered Toronto in power plays here tonight, where they had 2 more opportunities than the Leafs did. Then just look at this, like the Leafs held a lot of the shots basically out past the top of the circles. I mean, look at top of the circles in. It looks just at eye test wise relatively similar to where the Leafs are at. The chances in tight. Obviously, Wall played very well here tonight, but I think that the Leafs defensemen did a pretty good job net front. And then looking here at expected goals of tonight, it's basically like you're looking at 0.5 of a goal difference. And I think that is a positive as well here, because you mentioned it. No Gio, no Matthews, no Marner. You're going to have guys playing more minutes in a tougher role than they usually do. Take that away, maybe change that to where the playoffs are, where you're going to have your best players in. You're going to have Samsonov in, not taking anything away from Wall, but you're going to have him in. I'm fine with that. Like, I'm fine with that being the case and that being how things kind of shape out. I would like it to limit the amount of shots Tampa has every night moving forward. I don't want to be outshot 49 to 24, but
there's not really much you can do in a lot of those scenarios because they're shooting from so far out. It's almost asinine if they're going to try to draw us out that far up. And, that far up to try to block a shot or try to take it away from them all the time. It's like, take a shot, get it on the rebound. And that's what we're seeing is like, it's kind of like the worst of 2 worlds, right? Either you get drawn out and then they get a guy down low behind you and he has a scoring opportunity because you wanted to take it away from a guy on the point, or you let him take the shot and then you get the rebound and you're able to catch it. Both are risky. It's just that I didn't feel, like you said, I didn't feel like we were in a lot of high danger chances other than on a few of the power plays and also a lot of time in the third, especially when they had a man advantage, right? With 3 minutes left, they pulled the goalie. So, but what I really loved was Wall's glove save there with like a minute and a half left. It's kind of what I used to call a fuck you save. It was like one of those things where if you were to snatch it out of the air, where they have the best shot they've had all night, and you just go like that, and you just kind of stare at them like, yeah, I caught that. Yeah, keep trying. It's like one of those things. And Wall just shook it off, and it was a very definitive save. And I really loved seeing what I saw. I know you're younger than I am, and me comparing him to Felix and everything else like that. Felix,
there was just not much I could say about that.
No, it's fine. Felix is a smaller guy, and of course, I saw Cujo, and those were like my guys, right? But he just has, and he's such a clean butterfly style goalie. Like I'm shocked at how clean he is. Like him and Sammy both. But he doesn't have the squirreliness that Sammy does, because I think he might be a little bit bigger. But man, he was just smooth, just back and forth all night long. Cooch waltzed in at one point and tried to shoot it, and he just stone blocked him, right? Just like, nope, you're not. And that one that he saved underneath his arm, like the chicken wing save, I don't know how he did it. I don't know how he did it.
It wasn't even like this either. It was like coming across like that.
Yeah, he just like a friction save, like don't squeeze out, and he managed to do it. So just a lot of great plays, and that's kind of what got me fired up. It's like we have our backup in, and our backup can do that. Imagine playoff Sammy if he can turn it on. Holy cow, man! And and we pulled one over on the league too. Like Sammy's hurt. Yeah, so now we can call him up, And everybody's like, "Well, what if he's hurt?" I'm like, I don't think that he's that hurt, guys. I think he's okay from some of the things I've been seeing. So, but it's like, no, we're not going to let you call up Wall. Well, Sammy's hurt, aren't you, Sammy? I'm hurt. It hurts so bad. It's like, yeah,
Yes.
see, we need Wall. And they're like, all right, fine. But he can't play on Thursday. Oh, okay. Okay, guys. Bye, click.
Yeah.
You know?
Let it be. Yeah. Yeah. I would agree. I would agree. Okay. Joe, did you see the emoji that I put in the chat there for
I
channel
did.
members?
I'm
Did you see
so pleased. Yes.
that?
Man, I love
I think it turned out well.
man, I absolutely love Pit Viper Marner. It's so fantastic. It makes everybody's uncle screaming mad. So it's absolutely the best. So
So last year, I wore like the glasses when I did the grades of the game, like the analytical glasses, I broke that out.
yeah.
But this year I changed it. I changed it up and I just went, you know what? I'm going old school with my grades. I'm just giving a feeling, a vibe.
Oh boy.
Maybe I should break these out for the playoffs and do
That
my
is
do my
sick,
grades.
bro.
What do you think,
Well
Joe?
done. I
What do you
like it,
think?
It's gonna
I
reflect the
gotta.
ring camera and everything. It's great.
Yeah, I know. It's so bright up there, but you can see my screens. You can see the full screens. Maybe I gotta rock these, but
It
also,
might be a
by the
security
way,
violation of some
yeah,
sort,
I
man.
know. That's what I'm kind of thinking about. I might have to blur the glasses here. Maybe that's what I got to do. But for anybody else out there wondering what's gonna happen once we get to playoffs, well,
There you go.
you're talking about my hair. What is going to happen with your hair? What's going to happen with the beard? Well, Joe, I mean, does it look like I've shaved?
No, no, man. Going in, baby.
Um,
And it's a much better beer than I can do. So congratulations.
there's no way. There's no way.
Dude,
Come on,
I
Joe.
can't grow
Come
a
on.
beard to
There's
save
no
my
way.
life. It's
But
terrifying.
you know what else? I may or may not have an appointment tomorrow afternoon.
So
I'll just leave it there. I mean, those who have been here before, those
yeah.
who have asked about things, they're wondering what's going to happen. I'll just leave it at that. Tomorrow afternoon after work, just leave it there.
You know what I think would be sick if you got the best friend's haircut from Goon, where you had the tire tread, the Jay
Yes.
Baruchel, he had the tire treads
Yes.
on the side there. That's the best mullet of all time.
I was thinking about like the Patty Kane one, but I don't know. I don't know about the racing stripes. Maybe we'll see. Maybe. We'll see.
Nothing
We'll see.
tops
We'll see.
nothing will ever top Yager's mullet in like the early 90s to me. This thing was blown out and picked out like he was wearing a second helmet, man. Like he took off the Jaffa helmet and there was like another helmet of hair underneath it. It was so glorious of a
Well,
mullet.
like
I can't even tell
I
you.
showed on the stream last time. Uh, this.
Yeah, look at that.
Like
Glorious.
that was what I had in the summer. I'll bring that. That's what I'm trying to bring back. Like that's the goal. But I mean, no promises. But it may be an appointment tomorrow. That's all I'll say. Yeah. All right, Joe. Some other things from tonight. One thing I want to ask you on maybe a little bit more of a serious note here. Take those off because oh my god, it affects the vision when you're inside and the lights are off, other than one right in front of you. TJ Brody, I'm seeing some thoughts online about his play tonight. Maybe he didn't have the greatest game. I saw some people in the chat earlier complaining a little bit about TJ Brody. Where are you at on TJ Brody specifically tonight?
Tonight,
Yeah.
I think that last penalty called against him was BS, is what I think. And if that's what everybody's complaining about, we were getting cross-checked all night long. And he goes and clears out. He was doing what he's supposed to. He's clearing out that net, and then they call him for a cross check. That's BS. Okay, BS, pure and simple, unfair, and nothing against Brody. Brody did exactly what any other D-man should be doing in that scenario, and so I don't hold it against him. I think his play was quite fine, to be honest with you. They were playing a lot of minutes, and it was 10 forwards and 6D. I mean, there was a lot of minutes going around there. And for what he was doing, playing against a tough team, I don't have any complaints about it. What were you thinking?
I think he played fine. He has these tendencies to occasionally have like a little boneheaded play every now and then.
Sure,
but I think
that was
it
going
kinda gets
around
like
all
a little,
night.
yeah, and I think that gets a little more amplified when you're out there in tougher minutes against tougher opponents, and it's gonna happen every now and then. But I don't think it was his best game tonight, but I think he was fine. Like, I saw some complaints about him and stuff. I don't know that the complaints were necessarily justified. In
I
my
just don't think
opinion,
they're
it's not that
warranted.
people
Yeah.
can't complain. It's more just for me when I was looking at it, I was like, you know what? In terms of where he's at, how consistent he's been, and how much we're going to have to rely on this guy in the playoffs, I think he's going to be fine. I don't think it was his best game, but I don't think he was a liability. So that was just where I was at. But I wanted to do a check-in and make sure we were kind of on a similar page there, and that I wasn't
I
out of my
think they
mind for
are
thinking that.
definitely locked. I think they're definitely locked into who they are, who they're playing with. I think they're doing as well as they can. Evidently, hip checks from D-men is outlawed now. That call against that call against Riley just had me spitting mad. I really was.
Well, I kind of understood it from more of a interference perspective, less than
I
tripping,
guess it's a
because, like,
split
the puck
second off
was
from
gone.
interference. It's a split second off from interference. You
guess.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that forward momentum into a player that's already there. I don't know what else you want him to do, man. Do you want him to, sprawl on the ice himself? No. I mean, that's the game. So
Yeah.
but I understand. I understand your take there. I can see that. But anyway, sorry.
Okay, Joe, anything else that you want to get to here tonight before we go into the grades of the game? Anything that you wanted to you had holstered for this one?
No, I was throwing out too many super chats, so I think I'm good for the night. Sorry. I think the key takeaways were less turnovers, more takeaways, better penalty kill, and just frankly, just a goalie that stole one for us. And sometimes that's the gig, right? And a young goalie who I have to admit it, he is now my 1B. As much as I love Matt Murray and I love that dude, and he has a winning record and he gets some tough teams. Geez, man, I didn't feel nervous at all, even on the on the 1v2, the 2v1 a couple of times, and he just stone blocked him. It's so great. That's exactly what you need from a goalie, and we got it in him. So that's I really love Bunting's fight against Perry. I know everybody's like, oh, he's a liability. Sometimes you gotta stand up for yourself. Sometimes you gotta stand up for yourself, man. And against a guy like that, that's exactly what you're gonna do. Guess what? He wasn't taking runs at Bunting for the rest of the night because
yes,
because he made him look stupid. So there you go.
Yep. Okay. I also see here Mark Deigel saying, find a catchphrase and rock the shades, t-shirts, mugs, etc. So one thing that we are looking at trying to do here is get some merch for the Leafs Digest
merchandising.
channel. Yes, sorry, obviously, like, we are trying to grow this and grow Bryn, and that's obviously a next step in some of this. I don't really know what to do because some of it I don't want to just make like pointless stuff. Like, I want to make sure we have stuff that like you guys resonate with and you guys would actually be interested in. So that's one of the things we're looking for and trying to do. But yeah, I mean, I guess there's one thing I've said. Joe, do you know what the one sentence I've said is, or statement, I guess, throughout every single show that I've done on Leafs Digest? Like literally everyone, videos, live streams, whatever it is, everyone, I've said one thing. Do you know what it is?
Keep believing.
Yeah, keep believing. But I don't know, like, that's not like, I don't know if that's like mine. I just like say that. Like, people all the time say keep believing, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to close with that.
Yeah, that's a good closer.
Super Sim says here, don't go changing.
Oh.
But the problem with that is it's going to have to be a photo of Gord's face, and then he's going to need royalties. So, like, that's the problem. Not that he doesn't deserve them for it. It's just like the first one, I'm going to have to hand out royalties. It might be a little tough. We'll figure that out. But, yeah, we're trying to get merch. So if you guys have stuff you guys would want, maybe we could find some things. But remember,
hey, 20 Canadian dollars
equals like
stuff. Equals like 1 million Japanese yen. So, I mean, it would be fine.
Fair enough. All right, let's get to the last thing here, Joe. Before we wrap this one up, let's go with our grades of the game.
Good one.
Nice. Good thing I pressed the wrong button there. Nice.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
All right, grades of the game. Joe, kick us off here.
I'm going to go with a solid B+ again. I love Nice's first point. I love the goaltending. I just think Tampa is a team that forces turnovers or it can steal very well. And I think I just saw a little too many of those to suit my taste. I think we could have had a lot better control. Mainly when we have our first line out there, we have a lot better control for much, for like 15 to 18 minutes of the game, right? But so huge win, statement game. I'm going to give it an A minus. I'll just give it an A minus. Last night I didn't, and I was on the fence about it. So tonight it was a much bigger game and a much more measuring stick game. And I hate using those terms, but that's exactly what it was in this time of year, right before we go into the playoffs. So yeah, A minus. I'll give it an A minus.
I'm going A, and I'm closer to A plus, especially given circumstances. I mean, look at what we saw here tonight in terms of no Matthews, no Marner, no Gio. We played shorthanded in terms of 11 and 6. One of our forwards was a defenseman. It was technically our third goalie in net in Joseph Wall. As well, on top of that, he was told this afternoon at like 3 o'clock that he was allowed to play in the game. It seemed like that was when the announcement came out, or 2 o'clock, I guess, maybe. And then he has to fly from Toronto to Tampa, which obviously they have a private jet, and it's not that far of a flight, but it wasn't until, or I guess he probably had flown out there earlier in case this was going to happen, but nonetheless, he was told in the afternoon that they were allowed to have him play. So finally gets out there and goes to play. Like, I'm close to an A plus. I think maybe I will stick at the A. But lean towards the A plus. Like if this was like a 80, 90, 95% scale, like I'd be like
That is
closer to the A
completely
plus side
it's
of it.
completely valid
Right?
and fair. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So I'll
think I
just stay
think
with
A
the
is
A.
very fair.
I think some of the things that are holding me back from it, and before I continue on this response, I'm going to remind people because I saw Duke's 2.0 saying, do the salts. Like, we got to get 150 likes. Like, I
Sorry,
would be
guys.
happy
Yeah.
to do things for you guys, but like, it doesn't hold the weight if I just do them randomly. Like, you got to like get those milestones. There's
Got to
importance
earn
to
those
them.
things, man.
Yes,
Come on.
yes, they're earned. Like, I'm not just gonna like voluntarily just put myself through pain for it. But Joe, some of the things to like look at here for me on this one, where I kind of slide towards that a little bit. We did lose the face-off battle. Some of that is Matthews didn't play. That's one of your best. That's one of your centers. It's a guy that you kind of expect to be able to at least go 50%, hopefully more on a nightly basis on his face-offs. I look at the fact that they gave up all these shots. It's now being adjusted, dude. This is every time I open this app, I just want to like. They just remove shots, add shots. Like it's just for fun. Like, what are we doing here? It went from 49.
Is it NHL
through
or
the entire-
ESPN?
ESPN. We go through this for the
It's the
entire
worst.
hour and
Yeah.
50 minutes that I'm on this show, and then now they've changed it now. So Wall made 45 saves tonight and not 46. It's not like I care. It's more just like I've been giving out these stats all night, and then
It's
an
like
hour
who's
45
been
into the show, you change it. Like,
well, ESPN was the one who was airing it. So who's the one counting there? So you're going to choose the guy that was counting during the game, or you're going to choose the guy after who's just like, nope, and deletes one? You know what I mean? It makes no
yeah,
sense.
so what am I looking at? It's more just like I've been giving out these numbers, and then people are gonna watch the show back after and be like, "Oh no, it says this," and then in the end,
Actually, it
I
was
wrong.
this.
Yeah, it is, and it's like, well, okay, skip to the 2-hour part of the show, and you'll find me corrected. But anyways, face-offs below 50%. You go 2 for 6 on the power play. Happy with that. You go 8 for 8 on your penalty kill, but I'm happy with that. But here's where I'm not happy, Joe. 8 penalties. 8 power play opportunities for Tampa, who does have a lethal power play. And yes, you stop them on all of them tonight, but over a longer period of time, I think they're going to get some against you. That's where I'd like to keep away. But otherwise, positives is Joseph Wall, his play. You get an assist for Matthew Nyes. You get contribution. You get O'Reilly, 700 points. Luke Shen scores his first goal with the Leafs since 2012. Like, that was really exciting. All around, pretty good game. For circumstances, as well as the fact that this was a statement game for Tampa, not Toronto going into the. So did you understand what I was saying with the statement game before? Is like, I think this is a statement game for Tampa going into the game. It wasn't for Toronto but it came out the other end a statement game
It
for Toronto.
rose to the occasion when they needed it,
Yes.
because it's like,
Yes.
oh, you guys want to go that? You guys want to go to 10? We can go to 10. And they
Yeah.
did. So that, I think
Yeah.
I agree.
They matched, they played playoff hockey, so I'll go with the A. But yeah, Joe, that's kind of where I'm at with this. I appreciate you calling in. I always do genuinely appreciate the super chats and gifting the channel memberships. Thank you very much. You are very, very generous with that. I appreciate it a lot. It means a lot to myself. I hope that the community that we have here appreciates it as well, as much as I do. So, Joe, thank you. From bottom of my heart, genuinely, I appreciate you doing that. Appreciate you continuing to hop in these streams on the calls as well. Any final words for you before you leave? Hot takes, predictions, whatever it is. You know the drill. You know how it goes. Let's give it to the people before you get out of here, Joe.
Well, first, it's my tremendous pleasure to support as much as I can, and we have a great little community here, even all the way down to the trolls who come in and from time to time. But so it's my pleasure to support a tiny little community like we have, but I want it to grow, and I'm glad we can keep doing that. Secondly, I'm just excited for the playoffs now. I'm normally terrified going into the playoffs, and I really am. I have severe anxiety when it comes to watching a team like that go up against us, and yet for some reason now I'm like, bring that on, man. I want to see a laser focused team, and they've been laser focused all year long. I don't care what you say, they really have been, and now it's coming to the point where it's like put up or shut up, and they are ready to put up, I think. And
Yep.
that's what has me legitimately excited about next week. So I want to see them bring it, and get over this last hump here with the Rangers, and hoping that we bring it just as much as we did. I don't know if the Rangers are going to be necessarily as into it as Tampa was. I just don't think they are, but who knows, right? We'll see. But I'm stoked for next week. Let's see this and just get it over with, man. I want to see a sweep. I don't care. Leafs in 4. I'll say it. Leafs in 4. If they play the way they play tonight, Leafs in 4. Let's go.
Let's go, Joe. Let's go. I like it. I love the confidence. I was going to say that similar thing as well at the end there. But also, just I wanted to double check here. But New Jersey win tonight. They put themselves 3 points ahead of New York. So the Devils put themselves 3 points ahead of the Rangers. So now the Devils are uncatchable for the Rangers. So I would agree Thursday is also going to just not matter as much for them as it otherwise potentially could have. Let's say they were within 1 or 2 point range of the Devils going into Thursday night's game. That could have been important. Now it ultimately will not be. So yes, there is that, just to confirm it. But Joe, appreciate you calling in. Appreciate all the support on the channel as always. The chat there is being supportive of you as well. So I hope you see that and are able to take that in. Thank you for calling in here tonight. Very much appreciated as always. And Joe, I look forward to talking to you again as we get into the playoffs and maybe Thursday night after the game against the Rangers.
Avec plaisir, mon ami. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Appreciate it, Joe. There you go. Joe Hill, the second caller of the night, calling in to the Leafs Digest channel here, giving his thoughts on the game here tonight. The Leafs as they head into the playoffs. Thoughts on goaltenders. You got to hear from Alex earlier on, his first time calling into the show, so pretty cool moment there. Someone who tried to call in last year, but ultimately ended up not able to because the Leafs failed him. Lost in Game 7, didn't continue their season or their playoff run, so he wasn't able to call in. But Leafs fans, I really appreciate you guys all continuing to call in, to chat, to like the stream, to subscribe to the channel. I do urge you, please, if you haven't hit subscribe, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. I think we have created a pretty cool community here, and you guys, your participation, the support you guys continue to show, the respect you show each other, the respect you continue to show to me, it's not unnoticed. I really appreciate it, and it continues to help grow this thing as it moves forward. I see you guys talking about other channels that are out there that you stopped watching to come here. I appreciate you doing that. If you know people who are watching those other channels, I mean, give them a little nudge on over to the Leafs Digest. Tell them what we got cooking over here on the Leafs Digest channel. I saw someone earlier bring up the post-game shows with Andy Frost and the call-ins there. That's basically what I wanted to do here at this Leafs channel. Like, that was my goal. There was a lot of times I missed Leafs games as a kid because I was at practice or games, and I remember as a kid, my dad and I would get in the car after those, and we'd sit there and we'd listen to the post-game, and that was how we understood what happened with the Leafs. And then you watch the highlights on TSN the next morning, but that was what it was. It was literally watching or listening to the radio after and hearing callers and their opinions on the Leafs game, and that was how I started to understand how media and sports media and reaction worked, and that was what I wanted to create. So DMC Sports, love your channel, but go Bolts. Okay, fair enough. I appreciate the support, and if you're a Bolts fan but you're going to be respectful, I think we can all respect and appreciate you being here as long as the respect remains. But that was what I wanted to build, so I'm glad that people kind of see it that way and see that that's what they feel like we have here on this channel. So thank you guys so much for continuing to support. Thank you for showing up here to the post-game streams. This has been game number 81 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season. It's been a crazy journey so far through this point, especially this season. We will try to push on here through one more regular season game and then hopefully a long postseason run. But otherwise, tonight the Leafs make a statement, beating the Tampa Bay Lightning 4-3, moving to 49-21-11 on the season. Nice gets his first point. O'Reilly 700th career point. Luke Schenn first goal as a Leaf since 2012. Joseph Woll makes a historic performance, most saves by a rookie in a Leafs uniform since 1990. All in all, a great night from this Leafs team. Exciting stuff as we head into the postseason. Keep believing.